President Trump and his aides have done many controversial things and several criminal acts, which is why so many Trump advisors are convicted or incarcerated now. But nothing that any of them did, when you think about it, has taken President Trump closer to impeachment than Rudy Giuliani's bumbling, incriminating trips to Ukraine, which makes it truly remarkable that as the House moves towards impeaching President Trump this week, Giuliani was back meeting with prosecutors in Ukraine.
Rudolph Giuliani, under investigation for his role in Ukraine, is in Ukraine tonight.
His business dealings with Ukraine are being investigated by the Southern District of New York. But that's not stopping Giuliani from reportedly traveling to Ukraine and continuing his work that is under now so much scrutiny.
What is wrong with Rudy Giuliani? How is he actually in Ukraine, possibly doing the criming that we are discussing at this very moment?
What's the Ukraine trip all about?
I am doing today, all day, and all night maybe, what I've been doing for a year and a half. I'm representing my client.
I guess he had to go back. To paraphrase Biggie Smalls, he's going back to Kiev. He's going back to Kiev. And that has everyone asking why. If Giuliani's pushing the exact same plot that's actually getting Donald Trump impeached this month, that would be bad. And now even some of Donald Trump's closest Republican allies will not defend this Giuliani trip.
I think it's a little weird that Rudy Giuliani's over in the Ukraine right now, and I'm not here to defend Rudy Giuliani. There's apparently an investigation going on, and that'll go where it goes.
So that's the response to Giuliani pushing this same plot. And there's also another possibility that's very important. Rudy Giuliani knows he's under investigation, and he used to run these kind of probes, so he knows that means possibly surveillance. He also just watched his call records get splashed across every TV in America from the voluminous impeachment report, which cited him, yes, 500 times over just 300 pages. So if Giuliani does want to speak to witnesses in Ukraine who know about what he did without leaving even more evidence in phone calls and records, he may be willing to take this risk, the type of trip that even Republicans won't defend, just so he can talk to these people in person in Ukraine, to these key witnesses. And as a general matter, anyone who tries to shape testimony to alter a probe, to try to shape what other witnesses say, can end up on the hook for witness tampering, a whole separate offense. So there's more than one thing that could trip up Giuliani's trip in Kyiv. Back home, Congress is still combing through this report. And here is some evidence that hasn't got as much attention yet that we want to show you. His calls to NSC official Kash Patel, including a half-an-hour conversation, followed 5 minutes later by Giuliani speaking to that mysterious -1, who Democrats strongly suggest may be Donald Trump. As a personal lawyer to the president, Giuliani doesn't have a chain of command or a legitimate role in discussing national security policy with the Security Council or classified material. And this staffer, we should note, has a political link in that they used to work for Devin Nunes. Now, what was discussed? Well, if it was classified government business, that answer might be privileged, right? But Patel now seems to be waiving that argument, claiming this was all just a lengthy, personal phone call discussion.
That was a personal conversation that I was delighted to have with the former mayor of New York City, where I grew up, and we discussed personal things.
Not Ukraine, not the hold on military aid, not the Bidens or investigations.
No.
Here's the problem with that denial. If it was really, truly personal, those things aren't classified and probably not privileged. Giuliani is the president's lawyer, not the National Security Council, which means Congress has a good shot at compelling Patel to testify about all of it, especially if it's in a closed session. And while this report does not venture into much of what was discussed, it adds damning evidence that Giuliani and Trump may have incorrectly viewed Patel as a Ukraine point person. One witness saying Trump saw him as, quote, the NSC's Ukraine director and asked about related materials. And this is where the plotting meets the bumbling, at least according to the narrative in the report, because star witness Fiona Hill, who knows this stuff really well, testified that Patel wasn't the Ukraine director, but that Donald Trump's sudden interest in micromanagement stood out as damning because he had never otherwise asked to speak to any NSC directors before about anything, leading to the concern that this was another Ambassador Sondland-like problem, a representational fixer role not for security, but for the politics he was doing, for the Ukraine plot. And she added this whole thing, bottom line, was a red flag. This raises a lot of big questions because this report has so much in it, so many front page level bombshells, that everyone is just trying to make sense of it as the Congress rushes with, as mentioned, 10 workdays left to decide if they're going to do impeachment.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.